tilted! The inside of Coates. Barker gets too heavily involved. And that's Whitehead and Coates.
Hello everyone and welcome to the VRRC League of Champions round 1 here at Laguna Seca. We are at the final, or for the final round of the TT Cup. My name is Dan Handover. Joining me in the commentary box is Mr. Dave Marshall. Dave, how are you doing this wonderful but frosty evening?
Yeah, keeping all right. It's going to be a lot warmer down at Laguna Seca than what it's been in Britain all of these past 2 days. So yeah, looking forward to tonight, and by far the best championship I'm looking forward to so far.
Absolutely, it is TT Cup. There's actually the first ever, one of the first ever races I actually commentated on was the TT Cup that VRRC hosted. It was, a few months ago. It seemed like an absolute age ago. And it was absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait to get underway again. As you can see on your screen, Laguna Seca, the fantastic, the wonderful Laguna Seca. It is absolutely amazing. 11 corners with, obviously, the infamous turn 7 and turn 8 of the corkscrew. I am so looking forward to this. Laguna Seca is one of my all-time favourite tracks, and what a start to the TT Cup, Dave.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we redesigned the tracks, not the actual track itself. We sort of redesigned the championship, incorporating tracks that we thought worked best for this style of car. So obviously it's really unique with this car having the push-to-pass feature, which is about 8 seconds of a boost from the turbo. So we try to incorporate tracks with a bit more gradient or longer straights, just to try and make them cars go for moves that you wouldn't normally see on maybe the slightly tighter tracks that might not incorporate that car quite as well.
No, this is very true. I'm excited to see how we get on, especially going into the course. It's going to be very, very cool with the push pass there. As you can see on your screen, look at that, 4 rounds. We've got Laguna Seca, we've got Monza. That's going to be a draft track if anyone knows that. Paul Ricard, interesting one. I've not actually commentated on that before. Excited to see that going on as well. And then to round it off, Silverstone Grand Prix. I mean, again, another one of my favourite tracks. To be fair, Dave, another very good track selection, so I do appreciate it. I'm looking forward to commentating on these. But yeah, it's just, these are so much fun. I couldn't believe the amount of... If for everyone that's been watching the previous League of Champions series that have been going on for the past few months, if you thought that all the other championships had some action, this is going to be another level.
Yeah, this is the TTs for me is probably the best championship, best car combo that I've ever seen, that I've ever watched. If I'm truly honest, I wish I was on the grid driving this championship. It is that much fun. It doesn't really matter about outright pace, because you haven't got a clue what the race strategy the other drivers are regarding this push to pass.
Yep, this is like I said. We've got an idea, but obviously the drivers certainly won't have that knowledge of how many push to passes left. Obviously, you get a certain amount per race, so we're going to get the information. Obviously, the drivers are not. I suppose another thing I'd like to talk on, Dave, is it's all come down to this, isn't it? All the different championships that have been going on, the different series that we've had. This is the one. It's always been right from the word go. It's a marathon, not a sprint. It's all well and good being quick in one kart, in one championship, and in one of these disciplines. But this is where it all comes down to the very important one. With the prizes that we've got on offer are absolutely amazing.
Yeah. This is what it comes down to, isn't it? You've got the main runners for is Jack Mack, Jordan Bredin, Mike Epps has turned up. You know, even though Mike missed first round, he still proved that, you know, he's got the pace. As you see, Will Fairclough there supporting. Is that probably a winner's Dunlop hat, I think?
It might be, yes.
He might give us a thumbs up if he near us, maybe? No, I don't know. I'll question him after the race and see if that is a winner's Dunlop. I knew he's probably got a few of them. But yeah, so this is what it comes down to. So them are going to be the main guys to be watching for League of Champions. But honestly, if we thought we couldn't tell who was looking as a favourite to win the TTs, we really can't tell, you know, who's going to win it. So, mega.
This is going to be very, very good indeed. As you can see, the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, man of the hour for last week, Mr. Jack McIntyre, who really is a bit tired there, is he? He's sort of going quite relaxed, as you can see, just yawns. So he's going in very relaxed, seems to be with the TT Cup. But yeah, a lot on the line. Like I said, there's so many different ways this can go, and there's so many different ways that people can plan. Not only us as commentators, because we've got an idea or a potential theory on what's going to happen. However, you can think of a million different things, and the one scenario that you don't necessarily think of, that's the one that pops up, which is something that I love about racing in general, let alone racing in something like these. But we do have qualifying. We'll be getting underway, or I believe it is actually underway. It is qualifying. Yeah. I'm very intrigued to see. We've actually just been told it's just October, in fact. So we're going to be jumping to that in just a few moments' time. But Dave, like I said, you've driven these cars, obviously a lot more than I have. What is? I know that everyone enjoys them. What's the appeal with driving these cars? What is it about it? Because it's front-wheel drive, so that puts you in a position of you generally think that as much as people like touring cars and everything, people would prefer rear-wheel drive. So we've seen the Porsches and so on and so forth. What is special about this particular car?
I mean, I think you've got to look a bit of inspiration from real life. You know, if you look at real life, why does people love British touring cars so much? You know, it's front-wheel drive. The majority of the cars are front-wheel drive, should I say. You know, relatively low-powered, not reliant on aero. So, you know, contact can happen. And if it does happen, it's not the race ender for a car. And the car's a little bit easier to drive, if I'm honest, than a typical GT car. And it just means that wheel-to-wheel racing is a little bit easier, a little bit more forgiving, but provides, for personally, a lot more action.
Well, this is very, very true. I mean, like I said, from the TT Cup race that I saw, like I said, when I was first commentating, did the remainder of the series, I mean, yeah, wow, it definitely took me by surprise, I have to admit. And I'm sure with the drivers that we've got in here, at the moment, look at that shot. Absolutely, look at the elevation. It's one of the ones that even sometimes, as much as all the camera angles, it's nothing like you really can't get a sense of the drop. I think that, to be fair, gives you probably the best camera view of the elevation change of how the corkscrew really fares. It's one of the tracks one of the tracks I'd absolutely love to drive around in real life. Hopefully, when this is all over, I will be able to. Look at the livery there. That was Dan Zelos with what a livery that is. It almost looks like, remember David, the old what Red Bull do when they have like the pre-season camo cars? That looks amazing.
You know what? I actually talked to him, and that's exactly what it's based from.
Really?
You know, he asked his graphic designer. You know, he's supporting his new Dan Zelos logo on the side of the car for his racing in Mini JCW. And yeah, he turned around and says, can you do something similar to the Red Bull sort of hidden, you know, car shape sort of design? And that's what they came up with, but I've nicknamed it the Zelos Zebra. So there you go.
The Zelos Zebra, I like it. Well, hopefully we're going to see a few more of this. That is Andreas Rillig there with another very, very good livery indeed. Again, it looks to be almost like, I suppose, a bit of the old, remember, again, this is what it's reminding me of, I suppose, but that sort of transition front to back of the colour scheme with remember the Falcon Porsche and the Falcon colour scheme of that sort of like transition?
Yeah,
these are amazing.
Popular Falcon Porsche and big in the drifting scene as well.
Yes, in the drifting scene. Yes, very, very true. And we've just been told by Mike Yao, the broadcast, it says it reminds me of the extra Wrigley's chewing gum, which I suppose it's the right colour scheme. Dave, remember, it's the pastel colours. Pastel colours are there.
Yeah, would this be true? Well, to be fair, it's doing its job, because I actually want to type that into Google now to see what them actually do. So it's definitely worked for the advertisement.
Well, there we go. There we go. Right, so look at that. Just ticked under 12 minutes of qualifying. Again, amazing shot there. Mike doing some absolutely amazing track pan cams. I absolutely love them. So we're on Luke Weston, a person, a name we have not seen before, although I recognise TechSpeed Motorsports as a sponsor on his car. So yeah, this is something, a driver that we have not seen currently in P11, but I'm sure his lap times are going to come down because these are the first flying laps coming in. Jordan Brennan is currently, well, Jack McIntyre is 2/10 behind. There we go. Weston's got in P7. Laramie in P6. Look at that from Laramie. What a time that is. Already in P6. Only half a second away from Mike Epps. Look at Stapleford, though. He's just pulled that first person in the 1:29.9s. And he's just under, well, he's 2.5 tenths ahead of Brennan. I think that's going to be, well, actually, to be fair, Dave, what were the times looking at in practice? Obviously, you've seen, you're going to be doing safety car duties for us this evening. What were times looking like in practice?
Honestly, what Robin's just done is probably about as good of a lap as you can do. I mean, we'll probably have to explain a little bit about push to pass here because, as you notice, if we'll see a car's side, you just got a glimpse of it there on Andy Carroll's car. It has a big zero where the back window will be, just behind the drivers and the passenger doors. As we're just going to see there. So you can see the zero in the top right corner. So what that basically is that's how many push to passes are enabled on that car. So there is no push to pass during qualifying. So what we're seeing here is a raw speed of the driver in the car. So these cars are 310 horsepower, but with this push to pass feature, which is a button enabled on the driver's steering wheel, it enables a boost of 50 horsepower with the turbo for the car. And as I say, it's enabled for 8 seconds, and then there's a 16 build-up period where you can't re-enable it for another 16 seconds, and then you can use it again. So you get 15 of them per race, which works out about 1 per lap. But obviously you can use them as long as you wait for that cool-off period. You can use them as much as you want or as frequently as you want. So yeah, that's why we're seeing probably times extremely close in qualifying. But regarding race strategy in the race, who knows when people's going to use them. But this is what makes this series so interesting.
This is very true, Dave, as we see Mike Epps on board, well, on your screen currently in P6, a second off. Look at the time. Look at Robin Walters, Robbie Stapleford. That's near as makes no difference, 1,000th of a second, although Mike Epps had just gone quickest in Sector 1. Purple sector, you see the bottom right corner of your screen, by 0.5 tenth, so he is not hanging about. He wants more than P6 as he goes a little bit wide, trying to use all of the track and just a little bit more, but that was all okay. I doubt he didn't get held up at all, and that's probably his normal racing line. What's he going to be like going through the corkscrew? Again, planted where the car needs to be, just cutting the curb as much as he needs to. We're going to see Sector 2. He's a 10th up in Sector 2 as well, so he's gained another 0.5 tenth in the second sector. He's got 2 more corners left. Look at the glowing brake disc. What an amazing shot that is, going through into turn 11. Tricky 90-degree left-handed. Got to get the braking zone right, otherwise you'll be running off into the gravel, which is what you don't want to do. Executes it absolutely spot on. This is going to be a very quick lap. I can imagine potentially Brennan's going to have to pull his finger out here, and oh no, so he goes, so he lost a bit of time in Sector 3. Lost a lot of time in Sector 3.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he lost a little bit of time, but look at the time still. We're looking at times there. That's that top 10 separated by just over a second. And as I said, it all comes down to that start strategy. All it takes is for a driver to go, right, I'm going to use 4 push to passes in the first lap. And you've got a lead driver who goes, right, I'm only going to use 1. And straight away, push to pass on a section can be worth up to 2.5 tenths. So there's straight away a second of pace activated in a button, forcing a driver to defend by using his.
Well, this is not, to be honest, Dave, I keep forgetting that the push to pass, it's going to add that extra element of tactics here. I'm actually looking at I'm just looking at the level, at the light level. Are we going to be seeing some night driving at Laguna Seca? Because the lights are on. It's definitely got darker since we started practice. That's going to be very, very cool indeed. Oh, look at Isaac Smith. He is pretty much exactly that's uncanny. He's exactly the same as Mike Epps was in Sector 1 and 2. Can he get a better third sector, or is he going to do the same as Mike Epps is, do a carbon copy of that lap? A little bit missed the curve by a fraction, although he probably wouldn't lose too much. Oh, he has. He's gone on the pits. Okay, he decided that lap was not going to be worth it, and has gone for a fresh set of rubber. Interesting.
You know what? I wonder whether it is, Dan. I wonder whether it's first and second sector they're getting up, and then it's the corkscrew where one lap it goes well and another lap it doesn't. I wonder whether that corkscrew is really catching the drivers out just trying to carry as much speed through that section as possible.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, to be fair, it's like Corkscrew is one of those tracks. It's one of those corners, isn't it? It is. I believe it's like 3 stories elevation change, something like that. I suppose in the robot. It's
massive, isn't it? Massive.
Yeah, I know. For people that are watching that don't know Laguna Seca, it's the Corkscrew is what you just saw on the camera. That is one of probably the trickiest corners in, I think, in the motorsport world. It's one of those ones you go in completely blind. You have to trust your instincts, I suppose, to a certain extent. You've got a couple of visual cues that you can use, but you've really got to put the car in a position where, I suppose for a portion of it, you're a passenger going down that hill. As the car drops away from you, the suspension drops away, and obviously the road falls down with that really sort of aggressive drop. For a moment, you are a passenger. You have no steering at all. You have to wait for the car to come back to you, the suspension to compress back into the tarmac, and then you can go. We're actually going to see Dan Zelos going to go through into the Corkscrew, and this is going to be a fantastic shot here. Again, love these on boards that Mike puts on for us. So again, goes through, absolutely committed. So blind here, and then you have to pick up the slack. So for a good half a second, I think, Dave, you'll put your car in a position you think, well, let's go, and you have to then adjust depending on how you come out at the bottom of the Corkscrew. Yeah,
for sure. It's definitely not a corner where you want to be going in 2x2, is it? As we see the zebra on screen there. Sorry about that pun, that was dreadful. But anyway, I was going to say, for all it looks mad on screen, can you imagine doing that on a motorbike? Because I know they do motorbike races around here as well. Imagine doing that on a motorbike. Nutters.
That'd be absolutely terrifying. But bikes, for me anyway, are terrifying at the best of times. I've only actually, do you know what? I actually recently got into MotoGP at the start of last season and absolutely loved it. I was just like, what? Why did I watch Formula 1 for so many years? This is so much better. But anyway, let's see.
Controversial.
I know. Conversation for another time, that is. Please don't hate me in chat, everyone. Right, so moving on. So Paul Laramie is going to go through another lap here. 2.2 seconds currently off. Is he going to improve? He doesn't particularly that lap, but he's got just under 5 minutes left to go, and he is on another flight. I've just seen Robbie Stapleford in his current sectors. Sector 1 is a purple sector. Sector 3 was a purple sector. So Robbie Stapleford has now currently secured pole position by just under 2 tenths.
Robbie is absolutely flying. To do a 29.5, there's drivers that struggling to do a 29.5 with push to pass, so that is some serious commitment. He's obviously been doing the practice because that is a stunning time. Jordan Brennan there's just managed to pip Robin Walters' original pole lap time there, by 100th of a second there. As we see Jordan Brennan on screen, he's in his lovely liquid molly car.
I like that.
But yeah, Jack Mack, 4th place. Mike Epps with limited testing, I know, in 5th. Andreas Rillig, new to this championship, sitting there in 6th place. Great showing. Look at the list. I could just go down and see the quality of drivers in this grid so far, and what the separated by is great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, to be fair, once everyone gets a little bit of blame there for Mike Epps' TT there, very cool indeed. But yes, Andreas Rillig, like I said, one of the newcomers to this championship, doing very, very well in P6. Like I said, he's only a couple of tenths behind P5 which is currently Mike Epps. It is getting very close. Andy Carroll has just gone up into P10, so he's currently, like I said, just shy of P9 by just over a tenth of a second. Yeah, when you look at, I'm getting excited already because as we've got 3 minutes left to qualify, I've no doubt that the times are going to come down. They're going to get even closer. But yeah, like I said, with that push to pass, this is just going to be, Andreas Rillig decides that he wants to go grass cutting, and that's not the best way to drive that particular corner of turn 10. Sheepdog Cloud of Weir Fairclough's current sponsor on his Audi TT in P13 at the moment, 1.6 seconds off. I think regardless where you are, Dave, there's a battle to be had 100%.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as Will's on screen there, Sheepdog Cloud, I remember having a conversation about this because I thought, what a strange name to have on the side of your car, or what a strange sponsor. And I remember him actually saying that's exactly his idea. I believe it's a company that he set up as a bit of like a car marketplace, where a bit like Auto Trader or something like that. And basically he's gone for such an outlandish name that it sticks in your head and go, what the world's that, and you have to search it. So fair play to Will and good luck with his venture. But yeah, there it is, Sheepdog Cloud.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it's definitely stuck in my mind. I suppose, at the end of the day, like I said, absolutely good luck to him. Really, really good stuff, and a slightly different marketing tactic. I like it, but yeah, it's definitely stuck with me. I'll tell you that now. I'm gonna have to Google that later. Do you know what? He's done well, because I'm gonna have to Google it later.
Yeah.
He's currently in 13th place. You could see he was actually just shaking his head going through, I think, up to the corkscrew. So obviously wasn't particularly happy with that lap. Well, Mick Sutton decides that he wants to have a small excursion going through. That was, I believe, going through turn 5 as he goes through turn 6 now, down to the infamous corkscrew, turn 7 and turn 8, and then turn 8A, I suppose it would be. We'll just ignore that. Corkscrew is going to be turn 7 and turn 8. As he goes, a little bit too wide, and that's going to compromise him all the way down. That's one thing that drivers have got to watch out for, Dave. It is, if you miss your braking zone by a fraction, there's a wall not very far away from the edge of the tarmac, but even if you do save it, you've lost half a second maybe at minimum.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if I'm truly honest with you, he got away with that better than I thought he would have done. He managed to keep it on track and didn't seem to lose that much time. But yeah, definitely the better line is we see Jack doing it here. Just nibble the bit of gravel coming in, get the car nice and straight going down. But yeah, to be fair, Mick managed to keep that on track. That car wouldn't have been easy to keep a hold of going down there. The car loads up a lot. The wheel will be very heavy in the bottom. So yeah, he did well to get away with that.
He did indeed. So Jack McIntyre, he is going to be starting his final lap. You can actually see him there using as much of the track as possible to try and get the best run that he can. But at the moment, he is still in P4, 3/10, or as near as makes no difference. Under half a tenth away from Mike Epps, who's in P5. He's got a bit of a gap to Robin Walters in P3. But as we have spoken about before, these gaps do or potentially mean absolutely nothing, because we have the push to pass and the tactics and the strategies that people do have. I think I saw it in TT Cup. A couple of the drivers, I think, actually, to be fair, Dave, because you were racing with the TT Cup, weren't you?
Yeah.
In the last week when I was commentating, I believe it was Catalunya, and I think you used the last 4 push to passes on the last lap. So I wonder if we're going to see something similar. People are just going to hold off, and then for the last lap or so, that last minute move, are just going to try and absolutely nail it where they can and try and get as many positions as they can on the last lap.
Yeah, for sure. So I think, this would definitely be something for you to ask in the interview for whoever gets pole, because I'll jump in the safety car, which hopefully won't spin it this time. But I'll go down, jump in the safety car while you interview Paul lap. But yeah, the thing for me is, the tyres are probably only good enough in the first 4 or 5 laps to do a fastest lap time. So that's the first thing. But then if you're using push to pass, there's 3 push to passes per lap for fastest lap. So there's 6 gone if you mess up 1 lap. You only get 15 and it's a 20-minute race. So if you going for fastest lap for that extra point, you're really leaving yourself open towards the end of the race, because you'll probably have half the amount of push to passes. As we see Jack Mack just missing out on pole there to Robbie Stapleford by, what's that, half a tenth? This is insane.
This is absolutely ridiculous. We've got Paul Laramie. I believe he is coming through to the final lap. Well, actually, no, I think that lap's going to be in definitely something he's not going to want to finish. But yeah, Robbie Stapleford. Look at the gap, though, for Jack Mack. Considering he didn't have that much in terms of practice, only half a tenth behind Mr. Stapleford. We are going to have a chat with him in a few moments' time, all being well. But obviously, yes. So, Dave, you're going to be doing some safety car bits and pieces. So we're going to have a chat with Robbie in but a few moments' time. Yeah, Robin Walters, again, the gap is almost nothing, 1.5 tenths. And then the gap behind that between Walters and Epps is, again, about half a tenth. So it's just so close. I've actually just been, I can just see that Robbie Stapleford is indeed in the broadcast booth. So we're going to have a chat with him very quickly now.
Yeah, so I'll jump down into the safety car if you go ahead and see what you can get out of him.
Absolutely. Right, let's go and have a chat. So, Mr. Stapleford, congratulations on pole position for race. I suppose for race 1. How are you feeling?
Yeah, thank you, Dan. Yeah, just got that lap hooked up and then just came in pit lane and chilled a bit, and then I saw Matt and Jack went quicker on the last lap, and I thought, have I done it? And then I've just done it by half a tenth. So yeah, really happy. Good way to start off the championship. Absolutely,
no, indeed. Like I said, you've got a really, really good, a good bit of confidence going through there. What's the? I know you can't obviously divulge too much information, but what's the tactic for race 1? Because we've got push the passes, which we have not seen before in the League of Champions yet. What's the tactic? Are you going to use all of them at once, or are you going to try and hold them off as much as you can for the end?
Probably just use a few at the start just to get a gap, and then just maintain the gap behind, and then just use them towards the end, and hopefully it all comes home.
Well, like I said, I mean, to be fair, it's going to be something that we're all going to be rooting for you, obviously, as well with everyone else. But yeah, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Myself and Dave, we both just can't wait. So it's going to be really, really good fun. But yeah, I think half a 10, I was about to say half a second, then it's not half a second, half a tenth separates yourself and Jack. He is looking very, very quick today. So, well, as to be fair, he's looked quick all season. So, I suppose it's going to be something like, so you're going to want to try and break the gap. What happens if you don't break the gap? Is it just going to be something you have to try and again defend? And are you sticking with the strategy of those push to passes and just use them sparingly until the end?
Well, just hope that because I know Jack's probably going to have good race pace, so hopefully me and Jack can just get away. And if I don't pull away from Jack, then hopefully we just work together and then battle at the end.
Good stuff, good stuff. Well, like I said, Robbie, all the best. I'm hoping we get to catch up with you after race 1. But yes, good luck, and we will be watching with great intent, and looking forward to seeing you in a bit.
Thank you.
And there we go. That was Mr. Robbie Stapleford. Very perky. He sounded very, very cheerful, which is obviously I'm not surprised. He's got pole position for race 1. So we are looking very, very good indeed. I just can't wait. I absolutely can't wait. Also, we've got a few people that are having a chat with us. Apologies, I've not seen people. I've not been speaking to people. So who do we have here? Oh, well, it's Aidan. We have Aidan. Hello, Aidan. How are you doing? We have Amy Roberts, who we have here. We got Marcel as well. Welcome, everyone. And Maximilian, we have Max as well. So thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. Make sure you do like, subscribe, comment, do as much as you can, get involved. We do like chatting with everyone, and we do like chatting with people as we go on and the race. It keeps us I said, if you've got any questions as well, do ask us as well. So we're always here to help out, and always here to have a chat when we do need to. I believe Dave is still Dave is actually back.
I'm back.
We are back.
I've managed to, come back in the commentary booth for a minute and a half before the race starts. And to be fair, hopefully it won't have to be used. The safety car, we only want to really bring out if there is a big collision. If it's a case of a driver dropping off or things like that, you can't really bring out a safety car for that sort of thing. So hopefully the race won't be interrupted, because it doesn't really affect the guys at the front that, if they manage to open up any sort of gap, we don't want to really close them back into the pack. So, did you get anything out of Robbie? Is he nervous or not?
No, he's pretty cheerful. He was pretty cheerful. Yeah, he's very, very cheerful. So we're going to look forward to seeing that. I just actually want to quickly point out. So you see the number 15. For everyone that's watching, the number 15 you can see on the side of the car. That's obviously Stapleford's car, currently on pole position. The number 15, that is the amount of push to pass they have. Dave was touching on it a bit earlier on. So do keep an eye out. This is one thing for you guys. Do keep an eye out for that number coming down, because that is the number of push to passes they have left. You're going to see loads of different numbers, because loads of different people have loads of different tactics. So it's going to be interesting coming up. We don't, like I said, me and Dave, we have absolutely no idea who is going to be and what strategies people are going to use. Like I said, Robbie seems that he's going to be wanting to try and hold off as much as he can until the very end. But we're going to find out in just a second, as the lights, as you can see on your screen, are just about to go on. This is going to be absolutely incredible. I can't wait. Lights are on, and away we go now. And this is a very, very good start indeed. Pretty even start that we can see there from everyone. No one's really got the jump, but at the moment, Robbie Stapleford has still gone he's still in leading, only by about a car's width though, Jack McIntyre, and that is, I believe, I'm trying to think who that is. That's Robin Walters are going to go potentially side by side. Is it going to be Jack McIntyre? Is still currently in. That was Jordan Brennan. Apologies. So side by side, still going through into turn 2 is Jack Mack and Jordan Brennan. This is what we wanted to see. This is absolutely what we wanted to see. And Jordan Brennan has got it. Oh, a little bit of an accident at the back there, but manages to keep it straight with a boot full of power. And off he goes. Can't quite see who that was. But look at Stapleford. He has just got the gap and absolutely got exactly what he said he wanted to do. But look at Jack McIntyre. He's now gone up the inside. Has he used the push to pass? We can see on your screen there, you just saw Jordan Brennan. He's used the push to pass. Goes a little bit wide, so Mike Epps is now going to go up the inside, potentially going through into turn 6. Or this is going to be corkscrew for the first time. And Mike Epps has done it. Mike Epps has gone through, and he's now in P3. Stapleford is absolutely gone. Jack McIntyre has pulled the gap now. So Jordan Brennan and Mike Epps going to go through I was thinking for a moment they were going to go side by side, but they decide not to. So down into corkscrew for the very first time. Jack McIntyre looked a little bit slow. I'm not too sure what Geps was doing there. Oh, we've got a safety car. Everyone is slowing down. I did actually hear, I thought I heard something that Dave was, I'm sure I had a notification that Dave did go into the driver's chat to chat to everyone and tell them a safety car, and that obviously has indeed confirmed it at the bottom of your screen. So, bit gutting for Stapleford. I'm sure that was something he didn't want. But this is what so what's going to happen now is whether the safety car is going to get picked up or this is a virtual safety car, not entirely sure. We're going to see in a second if the safety car has indeed been deployed. But yeah, Stapleford absolutely gutted because he had all of that gap, probably best part of a second, and now it's all gone to almost complete waste, but he's still got the, as we see here, there's Dave Marshall currently there in the safety car, the number 50 car. We've got all his push to passes left. I wonder if he's going to use any of those. But yeah, so he's going to be setting the pace. I guess it's going to be only one lap of the safety car, and then everyone is going to come in. Stapleford will then take over the pace, and he's got to make sure he gets a good jump. Laguna Seca, it's a relatively easy track to get a good jump. You've got the last corner where you... whether he'll go before the last corner, I'm not entirely sure. My bet is it will go before the last corner. That's what I'm going to potentially say. It's either that or he's going to absolutely sit on the button until the start-finish line, and then he's going to go. But he does control the pace all the way up until he decides to go, and everyone else has to go behind him. That was Will Fairclough. Not entirely sure what happened there. I think Will Fairclough just been told as well. He unfortunately put it in the wall. As you can see, the damage on the front of the car, the Audi TT, has indeed seen better days. It's looking a bit sheepish there. That's one. That's my one for that's my one for the evening. I'm glad I got that in there. And Dave wasn't here to see it. That's a bit of a shame. But I wonder they may actually do another lap. Jordan Stapleford hasn't exactly set the pace off, and as I say that, Dave has decided to prove me wrong, and he is now pulling away. So Stapleford has now inherited the to be the pace car, as it were. So he now sets the pace. I reckon, like I said, he's going to go before the last corner, weaving as much as he can, and I believe that is him. No, it's not him gone, so he is backing up the pack. He's going to be sitting there right till the word go, potentially on the start-finish line. No, he is inside it, and he has gone. So, straight on the last corner, he decides to put his foot down, and he has got about half a second of a gap. So we're back underway, going through into turn 2. I keep saying the Andretti hairpin is actually considered turn 2. I keep forgetting that. So I'm going to have to try and remind myself of that. Oh, a little bit sideways there for Stapleford. He's got cold tyres. Couldn't warm them up as much as Jack McIntyre, who's now decided that he wants a bit of piece of the race lead at this moment in time. But yeah, Stapleford just couldn't quite get his tyres warmed up. That's another big thing. You've got to try and keep some heat into these rear tyres, especially as they're front-wheel drive. The rear can come around on you so quickly, but he's managed to keep his composure, and he's now pulled half a second again. So in the... Well, I've actually just looked. Yes, Stapleford, he's got 13 push-to-passes left. Jack McIntyre's got 14. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but that one push-to-pass can make all of the difference. And Jack McIntyre is currently up to P4. He's the only one with that extra push-to-pass left. So we're going to be seeing what happens here as this race progresses. Oh, no, that's Danzilla. That's the Zebra car that's unfortunately got off at turn 6. That's a trick. That's a very dangerous place to go. You do not want to try. If you go too wide, you carry so much speed. It's very easy to tag the wall. But luckily, they do seem to be all okay. Look at the gap now. The gap has come right down for Jack McIntyre to Robbie Stapleford, and the push to passes have stayed the same. So those two are really pulling a gap at the moment. I know Robbie was saying that hopefully these guys, or I think he wants Jack McIntyre to actually work with him and to try and pull a gap. At the moment, though, I wonder if Jack's going to go, no, thank you. He's going to want the race. He's going to want the race lead and hopefully or potentially drive off into the distance. We don't know. I've been rambling on. We do have Dave back. Dave, how was that for you?
You know what? I just didn't want to interrupt the flow. You're in great flow there. So yeah, as you say, really interesting here. You know, Robbie Stapleford. It's a strange place to see that push to pass activated there. As we see, just in the cooling off period. So that was obviously down the finish line straight there. Both Jack and Robbie used it. Hence why the gap hasn't really increased or decreased there. But yeah, Mike Epps up into 3rd place. You know, all the front runners are still up there, really, aren't there? It's just unfortunately Dan Zelos who's dropped off. Maybe that was clipping the inside curb. When we go up to that corner, you'll notice there's a really severe inside red sausage curb on the inside there that if you clip that, your car does not like that.
No, this is very true indeed. Oh, as I say that, we've got both Jack McIntyre and Mike Epps that's gone off, and that's just allowed Jordan Brennan to go through. He's just gone, thank you very much. Is he going to try with him going into corkscrew? No, he doesn't. So he stays, and he is up to B3. Yeah, a bit of an uncharacteristic mistake there from not only Jack McIntyre, but also from Mike Epps, who decided that he was going to follow exactly what Jack McIntyre was doing. Obviously, just a little bit too much. As we got there, Jordan Brennan, again, a little bit wide going through turn 9. I think these guys are just trying to find their feet. Not too sure if track is cooling down or the temperatures are starting to actually come up. Oh, that was a car off in the background. Not too sure who that was. Potentially that was Rob Butler. That's not good indeed. So he decides to go for a small excursion at turn 10. Oh, it's all kicking off, isn't it, Dave?
It is. I'm noticing Dan Zelos is working his way back up through the pack here. But yeah, as you say, Mike Epps, I think it was just a case of Jack ran a little bit hot into the left-hander offline. And Mike, to be fair, you do it as a driver. You use the car in front as a bit of your measure. So whether Mike just, thought, Jack's gone in there that hot, I'll go in the same. And, just misjudged it as well and ran off into the gravel as well. So, yeah, unfortunate scenario, but not out of the question. Still only a second back. Then push to pass is still 12 available. It's all to play for, yeah.
Oh, that was very close. Andreas Rillig tried to go up the inside of Andy Dorman. Oh, that was close indeed. That's an interesting overtaking move going into turn 4, but he's going to try and go on the outside for turn 5. Is he going to do it? No, he doesn't. He's going to try and get the cut back into turn 6, though. Depends on the run he can get, and also is he going to use the push to pass? You actually see as well, you can see the push to pass. When they go purple, that is push to pass being activated, and look at that. Yes, Andreas Rillig, a very good cutback maneuver going into out of turn 5 into turn 6. Very well calculated there, wasn't that, Dave?
Yeah, it was great. We just saw, I don't know whether it's different on your screen, but on my screen it's actually orange. So when the little box lights up orange, that's on push to pass. When it's blue, it's the cooldown. When it's green, it's ready to activate. So yeah, we saw Andreas Rillig there come up the hill, activate it, and then Andy Dorman hadn't, and you just saw that extra 50 horsepower help up the hill, bigger gear and into the left-hander. Job done, nice and easy overtake.
Indeed, actually, we're going to see a few more of those, I'm sure. Look at Dan Zelos. He's going to try and go up into P11 of Will Fairclough. This is with Mr. Dorman. Oh, we're going to go through. This is going to be side-by-side going into turn 2, the Andretti hairpin. Actually, as I say that, it wasn't even turn 2. Oh, Will Fairclough decided to come back. Wow. That was a really last-minute decision by Will Fairclough, but he's managed to make it stick. Dan Zelos was not expecting that in the slightest, and he is now back up. So positions have just completely reversed. Oh, that is Andy Dorman. It's gone again a little bit wide going through into turn 4. That's going to hurt his pace all the way down here going into turn 5. But we've got Dan Zelos that's going to try and come back on Will Fairclough. This is going to be so close. Side by side again. Who is going to make the move stick? At the moment, no one, because they're still going to go side by side. Are they going to try and do the same again into turn 6? Are we seeing push to passes being used? Yes, Dan Zelos has decided to use a push to pass there. And he has indeed got the move start. Yes, he is. Off he goes. So that is, well, we see that actually. That is going to be Andy Carroll. So Will Fairclough losing out to Andy Carroll then. I wonder if the damage is hurting him a little bit now, Dave.
Yeah, you know what I think that was a case of Will Fairclough used the push to pass a little bit earlier to try and defend from Dan Zelos. Dan Zelos then had the cut up the hill with push to pass, but then the problem was Will Fairclough was still regenerating from that first one. So then Andy Carroll used push to pass, and Will had nothing then to try and keep that place, and then he was a sitting duck. So yeah, fair play to Dan, he played that well. Will, this is the sort of thing that we see with this push to pass. It is really hard to read what is going to happen.
I know, it is. That just makes it all the more exciting for us. As you can see, top of your screen, 10 minutes has just under 10 minutes left, and I'm sure we're going to see so much more action. Oh, that's going to be Will Fairclough going to gut the inside of Andy Carroll. Is he going to make the move stick? Yes, he does indeed. Another late maneuver there going into, turn 2. I keep saying it, the Andretti hairpin of turn 2. So yes, that's very, very close. 2 cars becoming 1 at that moment in time. Mike Epps in P4. I was actually about to say no man's land, but he's not. He's got Jordan Brennan 4 tenths ahead of him, and he's got Robin Walters 4 tenths behind him. So he is in a position where he can't necessarily attack. I don't think he's not close enough to Jordan Brennan at this point, and Brennan's got some really good pace, but he's quick enough that he is keeping a distance from Walters. Again, looking at the push to passes, this is interesting though. I believe that is Mike Epps that's still got 10 left. Brennan's only got 8 left, and Walters has got 9. So that could very much play a part in the closing stages of the race, which is going to be very interesting to see. Oh, that was Dan Zelos going a little bit too wide of a corkscrew. As I say that was Carroll trying to follow him. We've actually... Oh, no, apologies. No, we're going to gloss over that. That's Will Fairclough there, the on-board... That's right, we've got the on-board shot here. Look at the wheel movements as well. This is one of the things that I do quite like about these sort of front-wheel drive cars, is the amount of movement. It's not just sort of like put the car into a corner, plant your foot, and off you go. There's so much more to it than that. There's so much, in some cases, actually more difficult, I suppose, in some ways, to drive a car faster than a rear-wheel drive car.
Yeah, so with a rear-wheel drive car, you know, you can get away with getting early on the throttle and use the back end to rotate the car. Obviously, in a front-wheel drive car, you try and do that. The front end just pushes on, you get loads of understeer, and you've lost all your time. As you see Will Fairclough there getting a brilliant cut back there on Andy Dorman. Andy Dorman's going to show his nose. No, he's tucked back in. Expect here maybe to see Andy Carroll just try and use one of them push to pass. But he can't look. Oh, now he can. There we go. It's just gone green there, coming onto this straight. Will we see him? Oh! There was a collision up the inside there.
Oh, that is
luckily
just
Will
gone.
Fairclough managed just to keep that going. Andy Carroll's lost out there big time, to be fair. So yeah, as I was saying there before, you know, I can't remember what I was saying there before, actually.
Push to pass.
Push to pass. What was I saying about push to pass?
Oh,
I completely lost track of mind there.
It may come back to you. Okay, we'll come back to that thought, Dave. We'll come back to that thought. But yeah, that was... I'm not too sure what happened. I wonder if Andy Carroll decided he wanted to try and make the move up the inside of turn 4. And yeah, two cars don't go to one position. As we've got there, Luke Weston, like I said, the newcomer to the TT Cup. Oh, that's going to be... I wonder if he had a little bit of a tap there. I think he did, because Will Fairclough has gone a little bit wide.
It was well recovered, that, though.
It was indeed, wasn't it? It very much was. Oh, look at the gap here. Mike Epps to Jordan Brennan. That gap has come down, and Mike Epps still has 2 push-to-passes in hand over Jordan Brennan. So generally, I suppose, at this moment in time, what they're doing is they're using one going through, I suppose they're using one a lap going down the main straight. You'll see them used up more because they have got some in hand. Like I said, obviously people do have more than others. Stapleford has got 9. McIntyre's only got 8 though, so he's got 1 less. So he almost has to wait, I suppose, in a way, for Stapleford to use up another one. But then he doesn't know that information. He has absolutely no... He's got potentially an idea, but there's so much else going on that he hasn't really got an idea of how many push-to-passes Stapleford has left. He'll be able to see that used one there. Oh, that's going to be a little bit wide for Brennan. So Mike Epps is putting me under pressure for the last 5 or 6 laps, and now the move has been made. That was a very, very well executed overtake there. To be fair, actually, I say that Mike Epps didn't really need to do much. He just needed to put under the pressure, which is exactly what he did. Just sat there, didn't need to really sort of push aggressively. The gap was open, and then he went through. So biding his time very, very nicely indeed there. So he's now up into P3. As the gap stays the same, 0.4 of a second or thereabouts between McIntyre and Stapleford. Oh, as we see Jack McIntyre, so he's using another push to pass, so 1 more down than Stapleford. I think Stapleford is using his going up through the corkscrew, or going up to the corkscrew between turn 6 and turn 7. And Jack Mack is using using his one going through the start-finish line. So interesting, the position of these, not only how many they've got left, but also the position at which they're using them.
Yeah, definitely, and I wonder also, it doesn't necessarily apply to Robbie and Jack, but I noticed it a bit with Jordan and Mike. I wonder whether Mike was managing it to just hold on to his push to passes a little bit because of his slipstream. He was close enough to Jordan Brennan to sort of gain the advantage of that push to pass in just slipstream alone, meaning he didn't have to use it. Maybe that's an option, but that maybe also is telling us here that we're seeing Jack maybe not quite with as much pace as what Robbie's got, because Robbie's not actually having to use them.
No, this is very true, as we see there, yeah. So Stapleford's using his, going up through into the corkscrew. I mean, to be fair, it's not a bad place to use it, because you've got that incline. Obviously, the car is actually accelerating less, so any additional power you can give the car, I suppose, actually, to be fair, it's a very, very smart place to use it. So
yeah.
Interesting there. Interesting. Good tactics there from Stapleford. And it seems to be working. Like, Robbie is still obviously ahead, and the gap is exactly the same. Near as makes no difference. It's 0.4 of a second. As this is a battle here for this is P6, I think it was. Yeah, three-way battle for P6 at the moment. Oh, look at that. This is going to be so, so close indeed. That was Rob Butler going through, potentially up the inside of Isaac Smith. They're going to go side by side into turn 11. What's going to be the outcome of turn 12? It is no change. So Isaac Smith still just about defending off from... Oh, that was a bit of a tap there, I think, on Max Edmondson. So Edmondson, Smith, and Butler. Oh, there's a change for the lead. There's a change for the lead. Something has happened. Jack has got up the inside. Jack McIntyre now takes the lead of this race off of Robbie Stapleford. I wanted to be fair. He may have just been a little bit closer. Potentially, Robbie may have had a slightly poorer exit going through into the last corner. And with that push to pass that Jack McIntyre used, obviously he's now up the inside, but role reversal now. This is where Robbie Stapleford could potentially get back. The gap is 0.4 of a second, but he always uses his push to pass, as we have seen, going through up into the corkscrew. I think he's actually a bit too far back for it to work, Dave.
Yeah, I do. And the other thing as well here is, I think Mike Epps is actually slowly just starting to creep onto the back of the top two. So let's not rule Mike Epps out of this. You know, he's still got 6 push to passes. If he uses them wisely and he feels like he's got them a bit left in hand towards the end of the race, we could see all of them really close up to Jack here.
We could indeed. Interesting though, Stapleford didn't use his push to pass going up to the corkscrew that time. So again, he knows that obviously he was too far back, so he's saving them potentially. Obviously, yeah, he is saving them for the clutches of Mike Epps. But at the moment, everything does stay the same, as Mike Epps has just used another one. As we say that, the top 4 use all of their push to passes in the exact same position. But the gap, though, is, as you say, Dave, the gap is coming down. 0.8 of a second is between Mike Epps, and actually, apologies, 0.6 of a second is between Mike Epps and Robbie Stapleford. So, yeah, this is going to get, as I'm sure, very, very close. 2.5 minutes left, but this is the battle. It's still raging on between Max Emerson and Isaac Smith. Dan Zelos, look, he's come up to P8. He's moving his way through the field, and is he catching up? He's got 1.9 seconds. Is he catching up to these guys? If these guys battle too hard, and Dan Zelos is going to be right in there with a chance at P6.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what's happening here. You know, Dan's put a great performance on here to pull himself back from 12th. Just see, is that Weston making a move on Fairclough up the inside? Will that be job done? It is. Great move by Weston there. So, yeah, great to see him in his first championship also moving up the grid. Will Fairclough does seem to be struggling. I just wonder whether there's maybe damage from the early contact that he had with Carroll there.
Yeah, potentially that's what I was thinking. It is just hurting him at the front end. Any damage or anything at the front end is always going to be a little bit tricky, especially in a car that is front-wheel drive. So everything is being done at the front end. You've got the acceleration, you've got the main steering as well. So, yeah, lots and lots of stuff being done at the front end. Any damage is going to be hurting you, absolutely. Oh, look at the gap now. Gap is half a tenth of a second. This is getting so close, but the gap between McIntyre and Stapleford has ever increased at almost a second. So I feel the battle for P2 is definitely going to be heating up. We've got 1 minute and 13 seconds left on the clock as they cross the line with 1 lap to go. So there'll be 1 more lap after this. We are on the penultimate lap. And at the moment, Mike Epps, don't be wrong, Robbie Stapleford is going to make it incredibly hard for him. I am absolutely sure I would put money on that. But it's how Mike Epps is going to use his push to passes. The top 3 have all got 4 left.
Mike's on push to pass. Is this it? Is he going to commit, or is this just trying to get close enough?
He was quite too far away. I'm interested to see why he used to push to pass then, because he was quite a way back. So, I mean, he has closed up. You are right there, Dave. He has closed up the gap, as you can see. So Mike Epps' push to pass is now regenerating. This is where Stapleford will use his. As I say that, it does turn on, so the gap is going to start increasing now. So they're both on 3 again. Jack McIntyre, though, doesn't really need to use any at this moment in time because he's still got 1 extra left, which he may be saving, obviously, for the last lap. But 3 push-to-passes potentially in 1 lap. Oh, this is going to be so good. Look at that. They're almost absolutely even Stevens, the top 3 are, as with Jordan Brennan there. Jordan Brennan's got no push-to-passes left, so he's trying to pull out as much of a gap as he can to Robin Walters, who has 2 left. Is that a second and a half in it with those 2 push-to-passes? Potentially. We're going to find out in but a few moments' time as we are on to the very final lap. Everyone here with 2. Actually, I say that McIntyre with 3 push-to-passes left, and we've got Stapleford and Epps with 2 push-to-passes left. So, look at the gap, though. The gap has come down. Epps can't.
To be honest, you know, we've got Jack here sat on 3. I don't know whether, with the cooldown, whether you actually use 3 push-to-passes left in the remaining of this lap. I reckon he might actually end up with 1 remaining at the end, which in that case, could he have used a little bit more boost earlier on to help pull away a bit further?
Well, this is the true thing. I mean, to be fair, at the moment, it doesn't seem to be phasing it because the gap is still half a second. So, as you can see, so Jack McIntyre is now regenerating at the moment. Is it going to regenerate before he gets going through from turn 6? I don't think I think you're right, Dave. It's not going to regenerate quick enough. Oh, this is all of a sudden turned into very, very close indeed. Look at Stapleford. He's going to use another one. Is it going to be a move going down the outside of Corkscrew? No, he doesn't. He thinks better of it. So the gap is going to be through. Oh, that's so close. It's going to be a drag race to the line. And to be fair, these guys, if they get both the same exit, they've got one push to pass that they can use each. It's going to be even Stevens here. But yeah, as you say, Jack McIntyre lost out on one extra push to pass, although he's got one more corner left. It won't make a blind bit of difference who is going to be coming out on top, and it is going to be Jack McIntyre. Look at that. What a well-executed move. And Jack McIntyre takes race 1 victory. That was that was nail-biting stuff at the end there.
Yeah, to be fair, I was watching that and I couldn't even make sense of who was going to finish where at one point. You know, but trying to look at the push to passes and think, well, 3 push to passes is probably worth 3/4 of a second, and that's only a half a second gap. And you know, that was getting really tense. But as we see, Dan Zelos managed to work his way up to 6th place from, I believe, 12th.
Well, fair play. Fair play indeed. So we've just got Andy Carroll left to finish, Paul Laramie and Andreas Rillig left to finish with a slightly wonky rear wing. That's definitely seen. His car has seen better days. Look at that. That has definitely been at the walls. Wow. But he does cross the line in P13, so not the first race that he would have wanted in his very first championship with VRRC. But we still have one race left, which is always good indeed. There is your finishing order, provisional finishing order. So Jack McIntyre does indeed take the win. Robbie Stapleford P2, Epps P3, Walters 4th, Dan Zelos in P. That was actually, so apologies. So Dan Zelos in P6, a very good drive indeed. Andy Dorman 7th, Max Edmondson 8th, Isaac Smith in 9th, Carroll 10th, Laramie 11th, Andreas Rillig in P12 with Will Fairclough in 13th. And that is Luke Weston. Actually, apologies. Luke Weston in 13th and Will Fairclough in 14th. Wow. I just noticed on the cooldown there, Will Fairclough was the only driver to actually be on hard tyres. Now, that's an interesting strategy because how much time was Will Fairclough losing in the tyres alone? Interesting. Interesting.
It could be a driver definitely watching the second race if he realises that and maybe thinks, no, all the other drivers are medium, let's switch back. And maybe, he could be a driver that could definitely come through the field.
Well, we haven't got very long to find out before we do get underway for race 2. However, we do have, or we should have, all being well, some drivers, Dave, for yourself to have a bit of a catch up with, as I believe there are people in there now. So, do you want to have a chat with the top 3?
Yeah, we'll go down and have a chat.
Sounds good.
Right then, as I jump down into the commentary booth, we'll go to our 3rd place finisher, Mike Epps. First race in the TT, first race with push to pass. What do you make of it?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, obviously, we were only about half an hour, a little bit more than half an hour ago. We were chatting somewhere else, and I'd only done a few laps in this car, so I was kind of humming and hawing over whether I was going to do this. But I saw who was doing it, and I thought, I'll give it a shot. So yeah, thanks for the tee up. Yeah, it's good fun. It's adds another element to it, and sort of working out where to use it and how and when. So those boys have some magnificent pace without the push to pass. But yeah, I had one spare at the end there, so I've got to rethink my usage of it, I think.
Yeah, well, for sure. And also, you've got to remember going into race 1, you're running at the front of the grid. I don't know whether you use push to pass straight away off the line there, but you're quite a lot further back for race 2 with the race reverse. Any thoughts on whether you're going to use push to pass straight away, or do you think it's going to be just the traffic's going to be too busy to use it, and then meaning that you're almost just wasting it for the sake of trying to keep on the back of them?
Well, obviously, I'm not going to use it up to the first corner. Obviously, anyone's listening.
Little bit of tactics there, mate. Little bit of tactics.
I think a good launch is so important in motorsport. So if you can add to that launch, then go for it.
Yeah.
If not, then you make the decision when you change to the second, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's a good start in TTs. You know, it's been a learning curve, but it definitely hasn't been a bad finish with finishing on the podium. So good luck going into race 2, and hopefully we'll be speaking to you again.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Like you said, I'm sort of doing this one for a bit more fun than the other 2. So just aiming to enjoy myself and yeah, tackle through. Try not to fire anyone off in the process.
Spot on. Cheers, mate. And on to our second place finisher, Robbie Staleford. It almost looked like you had the pace at the start, and then it looked like either tyres falling off or you just got a little bit out of rhythm. And Jack was soon on you, wasn't he?
Yeah, I got a good start, and then just didn't have the pace at the middle of the race, and then towards the end I started to catch him, and then I got right behind him going into the corkscrew on the last lap, but second's better than first, so I didn't risk out, and yeah, bring it home in third. The second.
Yeah, to be fair, we saw that, and we were biting our nails a bit, thinking, Jesus, he's closed up half a second here on one lap. In the last lap, he's using his push to passes. Waiting for you to go for it, but no, sensible decision there to bring it home in second, and good solid result that, Robbie. So looking forward to seeing what you do in race 2.
Yeah, thank you, Dave.
And on to our race winner. Now, I thought you said you didn't like these cars, Jack.
Well, yeah, we did the short little the test series a while back, and I didn't do too well in that, and I didn't really get on with the car, to be honest. But with the open setup, it's a little bit better. You can get it driving a little bit more how I like it. But it's no, that was a good race. I was really worried on that last lap as well. I was biting my nails. I saw Robbie coming, real quick from behind, and I made a couple of mistakes. But yeah, glad to hold on. I had a few push to passes just in case. So.
Yeah, we noticed that you finished with 1 push to pass, so maybe that's just telling you maybe, use one of them push to passes a little bit sooner to try and give you a little bit more breathing room. But you know what? A win is a win, Jack. You drove well, and a good luck in race 2 trying to get through that grid.
Thank you.
Right, and done. To me, to be fair, Jack, he was worried there in the last lap. He made it sound like he knew Robbie was coming.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think. To be fair, for someone who said they don't really like the cars, it's not really phased him too much, is it? He definitely wasn't as comfortable as I don't think. Obviously, he has been in the previous champions that we have seen for League of Champions. Yeah, that's both the DTM. He was so comfortable in the DTM. We saw that at Spa. The last round back last week. Yeah, I suppose this is something that is a little bit new to him. But to be fair, he's taken through it well. Like you said, he's the setup is helping him. But we're going to see, like you said, exactly how well he works through the grid. We do have indeed a reverse grid, but we're going to find out how it all kicks off as the lights are on and away we go. Deep breath. Now, there we are. So, all away. That looks to be, we've got a couple of guys that have just got a fairly good start. That was someone that got absolutely left for dead on the line. Was that Paul Laramie, unfortunately? Not the best start for him. We're going to go potentially 3 wide. That's going to be a safety car if it makes no mistake. Yeah, that's 100% going to be a safety car. I'll call that. Yeah, so it's obviously Dave's going to do his thing, what he needs to do. But that was a shame there. To be fair, it looked like Andy Carroll just sort of clipped the door, I think, going through. These drivers wouldn't have been told of safety car just yet, although, as I said, I think everyone's yet. So there we are. Safety car has indeed been informed for everyone, and off we go into this pace lap. Could very well be that it's just a virtual safety car. That's going to be an interesting thing. Is it going to be Isaac Smith, who has certainly come out on top, and he's now leading with Butler behind and Brennan in P3. Epps, though, doing very, very well in P4 already. So, again, I wonder, that looks, I think Andy Carroll's the one that unfortunately lost out big time there. It looked like he may have shut the door. Couldn't remember for the life of me who it was on, but I think he just closed the door going through into the Andretti hairpin just a little bit too soon, and at the point, neither driver had really anywhere to go, and I think Andy Carroll was a bit of a passenger for that particular instance. So, yeah, a bit of a shame, but the safety car bunches everyone up. This is where we're going to see how Isaac Smith does with the restarts. So the virtual safety car, I believe, has indeed been deployed. There is no normal safety car that I can see. Whether we're going to be picked up... Oh, as I speak of the devil, and he is back. So this is Isaac Smith. He's going to be controlling the pace now, and I think he's already gone.
Yeah, safety car's in. Safety car is in. Luckily, the pack was close enough already that we didn't have to bring safety car out. We're away to go.
We are indeed. Well, look at Isaac Smith. He's capitalised on that absolutely, and he's got 6 tenths of a second in hand. But Rob Butler, Jordan Brennan is only 2.5 tenths behind. This is where it gets so close. All concertinaing up going into the Andretti hairpin for the second time in anger. Bit of gaps opening up behind, but the top 5 are so close indeed. Mike Epps, look at that glowing brake disc, trying to use as much as he can of the brakes. Oh, that was a little bit wide for Rob Butler. He's going to lose out on 1 position, maybe 2. He has indeed. He's lost out 2 positions to Mike Epps, although as I say that, he's not going to want to give up that position too easily. And he goes a little bit further off. That's not good indeed. Dan Zelos has now made his way up to P6 again. So Mike Epps has got to defend now from Stableford, who had a very good first race. But at the moment, look at that. It's so close. It's almost like one entire car. It's 4 cars have now been sort of put into one at this point. Max Edmondson's car, though, looking a little bit tired. It's looking a bit worse for wear. It's only 1 lap into the race. Oh, there was a push to pass there from both Edmondson and Stapleford. But Edmondson has got the run, and he's now up into P4. So, that must have been a tap there. There was absolutely no way that wasn't a tap. But Jordan Brennan, look at his car. Nice, shiny, clean, no incidents on it, no marks on it at all. And he's pressuring Isaac Smith. The gap has now come down to 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, Jordan Brennan's definitely got his head down here, doesn't he? But Mike Epps up into P3 already. He's definitely looking like he's on a mission here, isn't he?
He does indeed, as you can see that. Oh, this is going to be close. This is going to be the battle for the lead. Is Brennan going to get around the outside of Isaac Smith going into turn 2? Is he going to do? I think he's already done the move. The move has already happened. But oh no, that's another massive incident there. That was Dan Zelos getting involved with the zebra car, and that's Robbie Stapleford. Oh my goodness, that has not gone how he wanted it to. That's such a shame there for Robbie. So Dan Zelos was completely sideways for a moment there. The brief moment that we saw him on screen, he was absolutely sideways. I wonder again, going through turn 1, again, was it sort of like 2 cars not going into one place, Dave?
Yeah, I think that's probably what I'm going to call it down to. I think it was probably definitely a case of 2 drivers don't go into one space.
No, this is very true indeed. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what was. Also, apologies everyone for the small mic issues there. We do seem to be back up and running well, so apologies about that. But yes, so Jordan Brennan currently still leading, but yeah, Isaac Smith has now dropped down into P2, but Epps is only just over 2 tenths behind him. This is going to be a battle for P2. Mike Epps, obviously, he got P3 in race 1. Is he going to want to make one more in race 2? I'm sure he is, but because he knows as well that Brennan is not too far behind. Smith is going to defend going at the inside of turn 11, so he's going to have to put Epps the long way round. Is he going to get the cutback? Remember, these guys both have push to passes. Epps and Smith have used those at pretty much the exact same time. That's going to be... Wow, that was very close indeed. Smith decided that he wants the inside line. And again, forcing Epps around the outside, which is where he's going to have to go. But, wow, that was a little... to be fair, I think Isaac Smith decided that he was going to move probably a little bit too late there, if I'm honest. That's what it looked like for me. I think, Smith decided to move to the outside again, try and take the normal racing line, maybe a little bit too late. And I don't think Epps could have reacted really quick enough. So he's inherited now P2. Smith has dropped down to P3, but this battle is definitely not over. But it has, at the moment at least, released Epps. Catch up to Jordan Brennan. The gap is just over a second. But with the pace that we saw from Epps, I don't think it will be like that for long.
No, I mean, Mike Epps was definitely putting the pressure on the front runners in race 1. Jordan Brennan, I noticed, actually, once Mike Epps got past, actually dropped slightly back off Mike. So this would be really interesting to see how race 2 develops here, because Mike has got some pace, but to be fair, Brennan knows these cars. He knows how to defend. He's definitely not going to be an easy person to get past twice.
No, he's not. You are very true indeed. Oh, this is a battle here for Dan Zelos. This is Dan Zelos, Jack McIntyre, who's not made the positions that we thought he did. He's done very well to get up to P6, but I think he may have got, he may have got unfortunately caught up in the initial incident at the going through into turn 2. But he is making moves at the moment. Oh, that was going to be a last move on Max Edmondson. Has he made the move stick? Yes, he has indeed, and that is Jack No, he hasn't. Apologies. No, he hasn't. Sorry, that was Jack McIntyre and Max Emerson. So, last turn, they are still neck and neck, going to go side by side, potentially going through into turn 1. Jack McIntyre is going to try and look around the outside as Max Emerson, his car is very damaged at this point. It definitely has seen better days. Still can't quite find a way past, but this is now looking at Dan Zelos is going to go, you crack on, guys, you keep battling, and I'm just going to slip up the inside when a mistake is made.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he'd be sitting there thinking, I'm going to use this slipstream, let each other trip over themselves, sit here not using any push to passes, and when the opportunity arrives, click that button, straight past, job done.
Yes, he will. Oh, that was a bit of a jaunt there. Going to go from Jack McIntyre. He's going to get the inside of turn 5, apologies. So, yes, he is now up into 5th place. We saw the pace that he had for race 1. Does he have the pace for race 2? I'm sure he does. He's got Rob Butler in his sights. So he's got a marker. He's got someone to catch up to. That's one of the things as well that I normally use as a driver. I like having, as much as it is, in a way, not necessarily being distracting from people in front of you, having that someone up ahead is something that is actually quite useful. As was that? Apology, I had a few incidents there. Jack McIntyre, whether he disconnected, but he seems to be going. I wonder.
Yeah, that looked like a fair hard hit from Max Edmond.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
I think there's going to be a rather large-sized TT imprint on the butt of Jack's bumper there. I think. Yeah, that's going to be probably one for the clerk's office after, I believe.
That wasn't ideal. I mean, the overspeed again from the push to pass that Max Edmondson was carrying, again, just braking point was just a little bit wrong. It's amazing, like we talked about it, didn't we, Dave? If you get your braking point ever so slightly wrong, you are going to go into a wall. Unfortunately, if you look at the front of his car, the bonnet may as well not be attached to his particular car at this moment in time, because it's looking definitely worse for wear. But yeah, I think he would have potentially gone in the wall. Unfortunately, there was just a TT in the way, and that TT happened to be Jack McIntyre.
Yeah, I mean, he came up that hill, he had pushed to pass on. I would have thought in his head he knew he was going to try and go for that move. He had the overspeed. But the big thing these drivers are probably not quite taking into consideration is with this push to pass, you can be going into that same corner 20k faster than you are without it. So then by the time you go in there, use your usual braking point, job's too late, there's a car in front of you, collision's inevitable. I don't know whether we've lost Dan here on the stream. Can I clarify? We have. Okay, no bother. Yeah, so unfortunately we've lost Dan there, as there's another collision there between Dan Zeos and Max Edmondson. No love lost there, I don't think, is there? So yeah, continue down. Yeah, I believe Max Edmondson's almost just letting cars past here. This car's far too heavily damaged here to really be competitive, I believe. I mean, look at the state of that. Yeah, Robin Walters has got through. Jack Max fighting his way back up from 12th on the grid here. Andy Dorman, I believe probably one of his best finishes in VRRC, has managed to get himself up to 6th place on the grid here. So that's great to see.
We are back.
We're back, Dan.
We're back. Sorry, I'm not entirely sure what happened there. It's all just internet. It's decided it doesn't want to be internet. But we are back. We're ready to go. So yes, like I said, Bikecaps. Look at the gap now from Bikecaps to Jordan Brennan. It's only 0.4 of a second. This is going to be so close. We've still got just under 10 minutes left. I can't wait for this battle to develop. Looking at push to passes though, Bikecaps still in double digits. Jordan Brennan isn't. That's one of the things to watch out for, because I don't personally think that Mike Epps is actually going to need to use that many. Is Jordan Brennan going to be using a bit more? The pressure that Epps is now putting under him is absolutely immense. So I think Epps is really in a controlling pace of this race at this particular moment in time though.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, from my point of view here, if Mike Epps can get the job done, even only using one push to pass, this is going to mean if he does get through, you know, it just means once he gets past, he can use them push to passes to defend and almost make it impossible for Jordan Brent to get an overlap on speed.
Yeah, I know. This is one of the things we see that was Jordan Brennan. So obviously he's now used his push to pass is regenerating. Mike Epps didn't actually use one then, so the gap, I don't think he used one. So the gap has indeed increased a little bit, but that would be the reason why. It's not necessarily because the pace is dropped off for those guys. Wow, this is going to be a battle now. This is, I believe, Andreas Rillig and Luke Weston, the two newcomers to the series, and that is only just a few spaces ahead. Only one space ahead is. Sorry, that's Will Fairclough as well. That's actually Will Fairclough, Luke Weston, and Andreas Rillig all battling for top 10. And that is Paul Laramie that's going to try and get involved as well. If these guys hold each other up anymore, Paul Laramie is going to get involved in the action. He's not too far away. This battle here only being separated by about a second and a half, maybe. And I'm sure it's going to come down even more if these guys keep battling how they are.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if I'm truly honest, Paul Laramie's really impressed me here. You know, he's holding on to that pace. He's keeping the pressure on. He just needs to hang on to them push to passes and use them in the right place. See here, gaining right up in the back of Will Fairclough on push to pass. This could leave Will Fairclough open going into the corkscrew.
It could indeed. Are we going to see? It doesn't seem like it. So we do have that. Everyone stays exactly the same as where they are. But look, great, Dave. This is your cam. This is your cam. You like this cam?
Yeah, the Duke on board cam from the door. Great 90s touring car shot here. On board with Mike Epps going down towards turn 1. We notice Jordan Brennan, 5 push to passes used in that last 2 laps. Mike Epps hasn't used a single one. Jordan is really feeling the pressure here.
He is indeed, and this is just going to absolutely play into the hands of Mike Epps because he knows. I think Jordan Brennan knows to a point as well because he knows he is dropping him consistently. So I wonder if Brennan knows that he's also that he knows that Mike Epps isn't using his push to passes. It would make sense if he knew that because he could see that from the times. Although as I say that, Mike Epps decides that this is now or never to use the push to pass. They're going to go side by side going into turn 6. Are they going to do it? They're still side by side going into turn. Apologies, that's turn 5. Now they're going to go into turn 6. But I think the move is already done. It is indeed. Well, as I say that, no, Jordan Brennan decides he wants to try and get the inside again. Wow! Oh my goodness, that was perfectly timed there for Epps. I think Brennan Halsey had a little mistake, dropped a little bit of pace going on the exit of turn 4, and Mike Epps read that almost essentially. It looked like he almost read it before it happened, and he just pushed got the push to pass done, and the move. It wasn't plain sailing though. Obviously, Jordan Brennan, even though he was slightly down on pace going into turn 5, put his car exactly where it needed to be. But at that moment in time, Mike Epps was like, "No, I'm having this position." And as we see now, the gap is now 0.7 of a second.
Yeah, it was a great move around the outside, wasn't it? It was just that overspeed, the commitment. It looked like he lost the back end a little bit on entry, little dip on the grass maybe, but actually gave him that little bit of rotation. He kept it calm, kept his foot in the throttle, held it around the outside of Jordan, and Jordan simply can't defend it when there's a car on the outside. Pulled up the hill, job's done. But Isaac Smith, through that whole thing, actually managed to close the gap a little bit. So it's whether he's going to have enough there to try and actually close down on Jordan Brennan in second place.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, the gap's 3.6 seconds. I would expect it to come down more, obviously, if Epps and Brennan were going to battle. At the moment, the gap's now over a second. So I don't think that any more battling is to be had. But we don't know. Like I said, we've still got 5.5 minutes left. We don't know. Absolutely anything can happen. But the battle here at the moment between Dan... Look at Zella. He's up to P5. This, for his first race, or his first round with VRRC, he is getting stuck in. And he's got some absolutely mega pace in these cars.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt, Dan can pedal. All you have to do is watch him in real life behind the wheel of a JCW Mini, and you realise, he's a championship contender every season. But this is, his first proper. He's entered in the Mini E Series. This is his first other championship. He's probably only had a sim 2 to 3 months, if that. So yeah, great performance so far. The thing what we're noticing is, it wasn't a great start to the race, and then he just pulls himself back up through the grid, just keeps chipping away, keeps overtaking people, and finds himself right up the top of the grid.
To be fair, this is literally exactly, doesn't it? And the last 2 races that we've seen, race 1 and race 2, exactly what he's done. Look at Jack Mack, a car that is looking very sorry for himself, very sorry for itself at the moment. But he's up to P7, so a good recovery from Jack McIntyre. Has he got the pace to catch up to these two? Potentially. I mean, the gap probably isn't too. I think it's within a doable distance, although the damage is probably hurting Jack, I'm sure, at this moment in time.
Yeah.
So it's 2.6 seconds. Is that going to be had within 4 minutes? That's what, 5 laps is going to be?
Yeah.
4 laps, I'd say.
You know what? I would say it's possible for Jack to close that gap to Robin, but it might be close. That might be on the line if he can. With a non-damaged car, I wouldn't hesitate. I would say, Jack proved his pace in race 1. He is flying. Race 2 here with damage on board. I think we've probably seen a car that's just struggling for straight line speed here, really.
Yeah, it was one of these things. Even with the push to pass is not going to save you if you've got the considerable amount of damage that Jack McIntyre probably does have. Because I'm guessing, obviously, he got hit from behind, and I'm guessing he went into the wall as well. So he's got damage not only at the front, but he also got damage, obviously, at the rear. But Rob Walters currently on his lonesome a little bit in P6. As I said, he's dropping back ever so slightly from Dan Zelos. The gap has just come. It's probably gone up about 1/10 of a second, maybe a little bit more. So not too bad. The gap is staying roughly the same. Push to pass this, though. One more left, as I say that. Rob decides to prove me wrong, and he's now gone through and he's now used his another push to pass. So they're both on 5 apiece. So 5 apiece. You can see the gap. Look at the closing speed. These guys, that 50 horsepower makes absolutely a massive amount of difference, and he's right onto the back of him. That's absolutely incredible, the gap that you can close up. That's almost, what, 3/10? That was about 2/10 of a second. And that potentially, that's sort of the minimum that you can gain. Also depends on the exit that you get, the traction. So yeah, there's lots of different variables that are in this. Look at Jack McIntyre in the back of shot there. So the gap is, actually, I don't think, to be fair, the gap isn't really coming down. So what Jack is banking on is if these two have a battle, which I think he absolutely needs to have if he's within any position to get 6th, maybe even 5th place.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what Jack needs to see up ahead in order for him to, get that push, get on the back of them. There we go, Robin Walters, little mistake there. Things like this is what Jack's going to go, there's one mistake. Let's keep the rhythm of the track, and we might end up on the back of them. But I just feel like Jack's really struggling with damage in the car here. He's not quite in the rhythm. He's struggling for lap time. That's not him as a driver. He's obviously got some problems with the car there. But that little mistake there by Robin, that's just going to give Dan that real breathing room there. Just allow him to stretch his legs a bit, go right. He closed up in turn 1. That's now undone itself. The gap's open back up. We can relax. P5 is on. Maybe get on the back of Rob Butler.
Potentially, we're going to have to see in a couple of laps' time, but it's going to be Dorman and Edmondson going to try and go around the outside. Doesn't make the move stick, but look at that. Edmondson, what a save. Going through into the last corner, boot full of power, get the car straight, and off you go. So Dorman, to be fair, I think Dorman actually it looked like he backed out of that then, so obviously recognised there was a little bit of tap there, backed out of the throttle, because there was no way that he wouldn't have got past if he'd have kept his foot in. So fair play to Andy Dorman, he kept his foot out, but he's obviously still right on the back, so the battle does commence yet again for P8. But look at Andreas Rillig, he's decided that he wants part of the action as well. So this is going to become a 3-way battle for P8 very, very quickly, and this will be going on to I'm sure this will be the last lap as well. One more lap after this. So it's still all to play for. The gap now has extended a little bit between Emerson and Dorman. So Andreas Rillig, again, if he can put in the lap time that he did last lap, he's going to be right onto the back of Dorman, potentially at the end of this lap, to make the move. Although he doesn't have any push to passes left, and I'm trying to think, is that... can't quite see. Is that Dorman with 2 push to passes left? As I say that, again, he decides to prove me wrong. Yeah, so he's going to prove me wrong again. So he's now down to just the 1, but that could make all of the difference. If Andreas Rillig does get onto the back of him, he just needs that 1 push to pass in a good position, and then he will retain that momentum, and obviously give you that 50 horsepower boost, and he will be right as rain in P9.
Yeah, I don't know whether that was maybe Andy Dorman there. Instead of using a push to pass to keep on the back of Edmondson, I actually don't know whether that's actually a bit of retaliation of the fact Andreas Rillig is looking absolutely rapid at the moment and actually closing the gap on both of them.
Potentially, what we're going to see, that's in last lap we are on at the moment, but it's going to be side by side between Dorman and Edmondson. Edmondson had a pretty poor exit going out to turn 11, and yeah, again, the damage is not helping him in the slightest, but that is moved, done and dusted. So Dorman now up into P8. Is Edmondson going to come back? I don't know. He's got 1 more push to pass left than Edmondson, and as we've seen from Jack McIntyre, we had 1 left over. This is a position where Max Edmondson could use both of those push to passes. Yeah, Andreas Rillig, he hasn't got any push to passes left. He's just sitting here. He's not a sitting duck, obviously. He's got no one behind him. But he's sitting there just wishing that these two would battle more so he could potentially pick up some scraps that he could see on the last few corners. Bottom right corner of your screen, though, is Mike Epps and Jordan Brennan. Mike Epps has got 2 more corners left, going through turn 10, and then the tight 90-degree left-hander of turn 11. And then he will be the race winner for race 2
with 3 push to passes in hand.
What a drive, and to be fair, he has done it. He's used 1 push to pass just for good measure, 2 push to passes left over. Mike Epps takes the race victory for race 2. What a dominant drive there, and as you said, to having 2 push to passes in hand, that's a very, very impressive drive. But Jordan Brennan, another very impressive performance from him, taking P2. And 5 seconds back, coaching how quick Brennan and Epps was Smith and Butler, not too far away. But at the moment, Andreas Rillig was on the back, exactly as you said, Dave. He got onto the back of the guys ahead, Edmondson and Dormer, but couldn't quite make anything come of it. And so that is indeed it. As I say that, we've actually got potentially one more lap. Apologies, I thought this was going to be race over, but it's not. Oh, it's checkered. Apologies. It is indeed checkered. So this is, so Mike Epps does indeed take race win. Apologies there. So, I mean, yeah, that was such a good drive. Such a good drive there from us. He did exactly what he needed to do. And I just can't believe he's got push to pass left in hand.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, great drive by Mike there. You know, he obviously had the confidence to not have to use the push to passes, but that's not a take away from Jordan Brennan. You know, you look at the speed they must have had as a group. They pulled like 3-4 seconds on Isaac, so that really tells you the pace that them front two were on there to really just keep driving away. So, you know, Jordan will be gutted that he lost the win, but in another sense, you know, it'll show that he's got the pace. And I believe the way Mike's driving there, it looks like this is actually the last lap. So maybe he had calculated then pushed to passes and made a bit of a fool of us.
Well, yes. So we do have there. I tell you what, for some reason we didn't have the white. We didn't have the white flag come up, but the timer ticked down. So whether Epps actually crossed the line with just a second to spare, potentially. But I mean, either way, this is actually going to be the last lap. So we're just going to completely just ignore all of what happened at the last lap. So this is actually the last lap, and Andreas Rillig is going to try again to go up. To be fair, it makes no difference. Carbon copy of what we saw when we thought it was the actual finish. It is Andreas Rillig just behind Max Edmondson. So again, those push to passes that he was lacking did hurt him in the end. Goes to show how important they are at the end of a race. So yes, Andreas Rillig does take P10. A good performance from him, all things considered. And then unfortunately, the man of the hour for qualifying, that has not gone his way at all, has it? Absolutely not.
No, it'd be interesting to actually try and have a catch up, and I'll bring next week what actually happened to Robbie there. You know, Robbie that wasn't his second race to be had there, so huge damage. But saying that, his car actually doesn't look the worst. But we'll find out what was wrong with it. Maybe it was a tech issue or something like that. But yeah, not where we usually would see Robbie Stapleton.
No, this is very true. We just got told as well we've just been told from Mike on broadcast that he actually pitted to get some repairs. I mean, to be fair, I can sort of to an extent see what he was doing. He may just be wanting to just get some more track time in a car with the car that was actually of actual competitive pace. So to be fair, I can sort of see where he's coming from there. That's absolutely fine. But yeah, so there we go. Provisional results bar any other different penalties that are going to be added. So it was Dan Zelos doesn't indeed take the win. It's actually now changed, so everyone's now coming across the line. So Mike Epps does indeed take the win. That was Jordan Brennan in second. We just had a little bit of timing standings issues, so we're just gonna move on from that. But yeah, it was Isaac Smith in P2. Apologies. Yeah, so I mean, we're gonna have a chat with everyone in but a few moments' time. Yes, we're gonna have a chat with the guys in a few moments. But I think Mike Epps' day. I think Mike Epps is glad that he's turned up for this race. Don't you think that, Dave?
Yeah, I think, you know what, I don't know whether he knew what to expect. You know, it's a new sort of thing with this whole push to pass. It's actually something that's seen quite a lot in sort of Le Mans series. So yeah, it was interesting to see him come into this and actually, I'm not going to say dominate, but he has definitely put his stamp on the championship. He's got extremely good pace. But, you know, would we have expected anything else? Ex-British touring car driver, you know, it's a car that isn't that dissimilar just with this push to pass feature. Jordan Brennan, seriously impressive. He's obviously got the pace. Whether he'll have the pace, maybe go to other tracks. The likes of places like Monza, you know, it's more about the racecraft of Monza rather than actually just finding outright track speed in it. So, yeah, definitely be looking forward to the future rounds of this series because it's been action-packed from the start, hasn't it? Really.
It has indeed. It has indeed. But we do have the drivers from the top three of race 2 in the broadcast booth now. So, Dave, I'll let you have a chat with them. I'm excited to hear what these guys have to say.
Yeah, we'll jump down. And we'll jump down to the commentary box and go to our P3, Isaac Smith. I take it, you know, a good solid result there. You got through the pack, but just not quite enough to hang on to Jordan Brennan for a move.
No, just not really enough pace in the car. I haven't tested enough in this car because I've got 3 other series to worry about. So
yeah, well, to be fair, we're hearing that from a lot of other guys. You know, the amount that's sort of on in esports at the moment is massive. And then, you know, lo and behold, hopefully we'll get the real season up and running when you're back in the real car. But regarding the TT, how are you getting on with the car? Is it reasonably stable and sort of, you know what it's going to do over a race distance, or is it throwing a few kind of worms towards you and, you know, throwing a few curveballs?
Well, obviously last season we did the TT Cup, and compared to last year, it does not seem the same car as what I remember. Obviously, it was a very, very good setup on the car back when we originally used the car, which was fixed, and this is all open, so we're trying all sorts of new things. So even in that last race, I was changing cambers, toes, all sorts of things, trying to get some pace, and luckily it came through for P3, but it'd have been nice to be knocking on the door for either a 1 or a 2.
No, to be fair, it was a good solid drive, Isaac, and it's bringing home good points, so we'll look forward to see what you do in round 2 of the TTs, and, you know, I think it's definitely going to be an interesting round for sure.
Yeah, it should be, really. The cars are a mega car to race, and obviously push to pass just adds to the fun.
Something completely different, eh? Right, good luck anyway, Isaac, and we'll go on to our P2 guy, Jordan Brennan. Just not quite enough to hold on to Mike, was it?
No. I had the pace in the car, I just lacked consistency.
Yeah. To be fair, it goes hand in hand, doesn't it? It's good to have the pace, but you also need a consistency to bring home the win. But I mean, stellar drive to bring it back through to P2. You know, there was the likes of Jack, and there was a few other drivers that we expect to see up the front of the grid that really struggled, and you and Mike both seemed to manage to pull straight through the grid. So, I tell you, was it a relatively easy start of the race, or did you have to sort of have 8 eyes and didn't have a clue what was going on?
Well, I got a good launch off the line, and then everyone in front of me just disappeared. I came out of turn 1 in P3. I was like, all right, that'll do.
You know what? Sometimes it's the luck of the draw. Some races go your way and others don't. And to be fair, a lot of people had a pretty disastrous race in front of you, and you managed to get through relatively unscathed. So, you know, you've got to take the advantage while you can, don't you? So, great result anyway, Jordan. 2nd place, great points haul for the championship. And we'll look forward to seeing you what you can do in round 2.
Cheers, thank you.
Cheers. Mike Epps, winner and a podium. Can't complain with that, can we?
Yeah, no, not a bad start at all. I think Jordan touched on it. The start was obviously one of those perfect scenarios for those who got through.
Yeah.
I sort of saw the contact and saw the swing, and you could see that it was all going to go, and it led into a gap that opened up. Parked it behind someone in 3rd or 4th, and just pushed him through. Which is perfect, really handy to get that, and then a safety car called so you can kind of consolidate the position, which is great. So yeah, it was really good. I want to say sorry to both Isaac and Jordan if it was rough on the way through, but I don't know if I was getting some ping or if they were or what, but certainly cars didn't quite stay in their normal position at certain points during that race for some reason. Like, I even had I'm pretty sure Jordan disappeared and then reappeared, speaking of disappearing, when I was overtaking him. So I don't know what happened there, but hopefully it was okay on his screen. But yeah, mega run through, really. You know, that's how those races really want to go, isn't it? I had a lack of consistency and a lack of testing as well, as I'm not just doing this as well as mini challenge and touring car, but I'm also doing VCO, which is a F3 series on iRacing, and that's tomorrow evening as well. So I'm testing for that. So it's absolutely flat out with every single type of racing car at the moment. But great race. Toying around with pace at the end, trying to get a lap in to make sure I get that fastest lap. So I definitely made a couple errors and lost about 2 seconds in the gravel at one point. But there we go.
Yeah, you're a very busy boy, but you're still bringing home the results, which is very impressive. I mean, compared to race 1, race 2, you just seem to have a bit more of that consistency and even more pace. I take it that's just timing the car, is it, or you're really gelling with the car and it's feeling quite familiar, or?
Yeah, it's quite a nice car to drive. It feels very Audi, for lack of it does. It just feels quite flat, you know. sort of you can feel the width of the car when you're driving it, so it's quite nice, and it doesn't lose the rear sort of. It does it progressively. It's quite nice to use. So I just had a couple of tweaks for that second run, and once I was able to get the breathing space, I saved up my boosts a little bit to use a couple more on one lap than another. So helped me get the quickest lap and the win. So yeah, mega shot, awesome series, and if I've got time and I'm not busy at work or something, I'll try and do the rest of them.
Yeah, spot on, mate. Well, it's great to see you in the championship, and it's a great points haul, and we'll hopefully see you in round 2.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. And there we go, Dan.
And there we go, indeed. Good to catch up with the guys. I like hearing what they have to say, especially after the race. But yeah, I mean, Mike F's got a man has got a lot on his plate, but it goes to show that the quality of driver that he is. He just sort of adapts to anything and sort of off he goes. So. Hopefully, we're going to see him back in the for the remainder of the 3 weeks that we've got here. Of which next, as you say, is Monza, which I'm very much looking forward to.
Yeah,
but yeah, as I say that, and again, as if by magic, we've got Monza there. It's going to be all about the slipstream, all about the tow, and we're going to see. We thought there's some good action here. There's going to be some amazing action. They're going to be very, very long trains of cars because it's all just going to be following each other until you get into the hard braking zones. But I'm so very much looking forward to it. And yeah, can we just do the race now? Or can we do the race now, Dave?
I mean, to be fair, going into round 2 as a driver, I haven't got a clue when I would consider using push to passes around Monza. I mean, it's basically 3 straights and a few corners. I mean, it's probably going to be one of the hardest tracks on the calendar, not for the track, but for race strategy and when to use stuff. It's going to be a nightmare for drivers.
It is indeed. It's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be a nightmare for the drivers. It's going to be amazing for us, so I can't wait for it to kick off. But yeah, like I said, we're going to have to wrap it up, unfortunately, now. But I would just like to say, again, to everyone, thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure, if you haven't already, please do like, subscribe, share the series, share absolutely everything you can about VRRC, and make sure you do get involved. Because we do have, Dave, there are not necessarily spaces for a couple of the other championships, but I believe there is space still for the TT Cup for the remainder rounds.
Yeah, so we can still get people in for the remainder of the TT Cup, but also League of Champions 2 will be happening. I can't say when that date will be happening, but it will be happening. And yeah, be sure to be part of the VRRC community to take advantage of sign-ups.
Indeed, it's going to be fantastic. Can't wait for Monza. Can't wait to see everyone there as well. But as I say, yes, we do indeed have to wrap it up. Thank you all so much for watching. We will see you all next week. My name is Dan Handover. I've been joined by, again, the incredible Dave Marshall for a fantastic evening worth of racing and commentary. And also a big thanks to Mike Yao on the broadcast guide, providing us some amazing shots, amazing camera angles, and amazing broadcasting as always. But until next time, take care and stay safe.
The inside of coats, Parker gets too heavily involved, and that's Whitehead and Coates.